Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whenever you are watching this video, let me welcome you all to our channel Future Endeavors. Okay, so in the previous class we have discussed about Newton's first and second law. We have some detailed analysis on those two laws. In today's class we will be discussing about the Newton's third law. So this is the last law regarding the Newton's laws of motion. Now what is actually Newton's third? It's very interesting. So the topic that we are going to start or that we are going to study today is quite interesting, and there are a lot of applications of this law, or you can actually practically verify this law in a very easy way. Okay, so what does the Newton's third law says? The statement rather about the Newton's third law is very simple, but the actual meaning is quite elaborate, quite details, quite informative. Okay, so what is the Newton's third law? First of all, just let me write down the statement. So Newton's third law, you can also write it in your copy for your better understanding. You can just write it down. It's all given in the book, but if you write it, then it will be helpful for you to understand the concept. So Newton's third law says that every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So third law says that every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So what is this action and reaction? Basically these are the forces, action and reaction forces. Okay, so whenever there is a action force, there is also a reaction force. So basically these action and reaction force are existing in pairs, isn't it? Okay, so this is in a very simplified manner. This is the Newton's third law. Statement is the statement of the Newton's third law. Now what is the actual meaning that you are trying to convey in this third law? So that is very important. Let us just analyze an example. Okay, see, if you consider an object lying on the ground. Okay, so I hope you have written the statement. It's very easy. It's also available in the book. You can also note it from there also. So if I just analyze this law to a very simple example, such as consider an object lying on the ground, so this is the ground surface. Okay, and the object of say mass m is lying on this ground. Okay, now what happens if you consider the object itself? What are the forces, or how many forces are exactly acting in this condition? Can you imagine? Just pause the video and think of which are the forces that are acting on this object at this moment, at this instant when the object is rest. Just pause the video and think of the fact. Okay, so I am telling the answer. There are two forces acting on the body. So basically there are two forces acting on the body. What are the two forces? One force is the gravitational force, the Earth's gravitational pull. It is attracting the object downwards with a force mg. We will be having a little class regarding the concept of weight and mass. For now, just remember that weight of an object is given by the product of its mass and the acceleration due to gravity. We will also have detailed analytical discussion about the acceleration due to gravity. Just for now, try to understand that weight of an object is given by the product of the mass and acceleration due to gravity. So basically this is the gravitational force acting on the body. And what is the other force acting on the body? Can you imagine? The object, when it is lying on the ground, does not the ground also exert a force on the object? Why? Question may be coming to your mind, why? See, we have already talked about the types of forces, types of contact forces, and in that classification we have discussed about the normal reaction force. So do you remember normal reaction force? If you have any doubt regarding normal reaction force, you can see the previous lectures where we have detailed discussion about the normal reaction force. For the clarity, for the sake of clarity, we are again just recapitulating that normal reaction force is something which exists between two bodies when two surfaces are in contact. Any surface, that can be any surface, even any surface when they are in contact, both the surfaces exert a force on each other, and this kind of force is called the normal reaction force because it is acting perpendicular to the surface. Okay, so when it is obviously on the ground, object is on the ground, the object and the ground are in close contact, so definitely what happens, the ground exerts a normal reaction force on the object, so it can be written as N. Okay, fine. Now, so from the Newton's third law, it has been said that to every action there is always a reaction. Now, do you think that the action reaction pair that we have been talking of in the Newton's third law is are these two forces, that is the normal reaction force and the mg force, that is the gravitational force, are these two forces acting on the body the action reaction pair? What do you think? Just think of it a little bit, or pause the video to just think of it, think of that whether these two forces are the action reaction force. Okay, so before we say whether these two forces can be action reaction force, let us just see the conditions which are necessary for two forces to be action reaction pair. So if I just consider the conditions required for two forces to be action reaction pair. So what are the two conditions necessary? What are the conditions? So first of all, the first condition is that action and reaction pair, the action and reaction force never act on the same body. Remember the fact that action and reaction force never act on the same body, they act on different bodies simultaneously. So first point is that action reaction forces never act on the same body, rather they act on different bodies at the same time. So this is the first condition that you need to understand. And what is the second condition? Second condition is that the action and reaction forces have to be of the same nature. So the action reaction forces have to be of same nature. So these are the two major conditions or criteria to consider two forces to be action reaction pair. I think the board is clear to all of you. Yes, it is clear. Okay, so these are the two major conditions. Okay, and obviously they are always existing in pairs. So if we consider these two facts or these two criteria, now just match these two criteria with the normal reaction force and the mg force. Now first thing is that action reaction forces act on different bodies. So both normal reaction N and the gravitational force mg are acting on the same body, that is the object having the mass m. So definitely the first condition actually opposes or denies the fact that this normal reaction force and mg force will be action reaction pair. Also if you see the second criteria, that action reaction pair has to be of the same nature, it also does not satisfy that criteria, because this is normal reaction force, one kind of force, and this is gravitational force. So this is another kind of force. Normal reaction force is actually contact force, whereas gravitational force is basically non-contact force. So they are not of the same nature. So again, that is actually mismatch with the condition. So definitely this normal reaction force and the gravitational force cannot be the action reaction pair. So I think the concept is clear. If not, please do pause the video, watch it once again, just listen to the facts very carefully. Definitely you will be able to understand it. So your question might be arising in your mind. Pause the video and think of it a little bit. Your question might be arising now in your mind that okay, then what is the action reaction pair acting here? What is the action reaction pair acting here? So definitely, as I have said, when two bodies are in contact, when two surfaces are in contact, what happens? Both the surface exert certain kind of force on each other. Okay. So here actually what happens? The ground exerts a certain normal reaction force on the object. Definitely the object will also exert certain kind of normal reaction force on the ground, and this force you can consider it to say suppose n dash. Okay, the normal reaction n is the normal reaction force exerted by ground or object. So basically this is normal reaction force exerted on body by ground. Okay, whereas if you consider the n dash is actually the normal reaction force exerted on ground by the body. Okay, by the body. So now these two normal reaction forces according to Newton's third law is equal. These are the action reaction pair. So action reaction pairs are transferred to be the n and n dash. So for this particular figure, for this particular case, n and n dash are the action reaction pair. Action reaction pair. So is it clear? So I think now there is no doubt in all of your mind about the action reaction pair. So is it clear? So this is the concept of Newton's third law. Now you have a lot of application regarding Newton's third law, and many examples are given in the book. You can also we can consider any one example and just talk of it. So consider the example of walking on ground. So you might be thinking, what is the role of Newton's third law while you are walking on ground? It is very important, it is very interesting. When you walk on the ground, what happens? You exert a certain kind of force on the ground. Okay, so say you are walking on a concrete floor. You apply a certain force with your base of your foot or the base of the heel or say base of the toe. Okay, you apply a certain amount of force on the concrete ground. What happens? At that case, the ground also exerts some kind of force on your foot, and that is why due to this action reaction pair you are actually able to walk forward. You are actually able to take up your leg or take up your just move your feet up and move forward. If the action reaction concept would not have existed, then when you are exerting certain force on the ground while walking, your feet would have sank into the ground. Okay, it would not have been able to come out of the ground. Okay, so this is the fact. Likewise, we can also see the application of action reaction pair in a motion of rocket. So you must have seen when a rocket goes up, okay, a satellite rockets, the rockets that carry the satellites high up into the sky, the rockets burn a lot of amount of fuel and exert a huge amount of gas in the downward direction. This gas is actually expelled by the motor of the rocket with a huge force. When they are actually expelled out of the rocket, what happens? These gases that have been going out, they exert certain kind of reaction force on the rocket, and due to that the rocket moves up. So this is the basic concept of the action reaction pair that is actually working in the system. Okay, so there are a lot of examples like this. You can actually think of very minutely, and if you think very minutely, you can in details. If you think, you can easily understand which are the action reaction pair. Just remember these two criteria, then it will be easy for you to understand. Okay, so with that we come to an end of our class. we are ending this class here. We will be coming with another new topic on the next class. Please till then do study well. If you have any query, any doubt, mention in the comment section. We will be definitely happy to solve your problem. Thank you. Goodbye.